7 minutes from the crowded canals of Venice, there is an island no tour boat advertises, no postcard mentions, and no guidebook encourages you to visit. Not because it's dangerous, but because its history is. This is Poveglia Island, a place that officially existed, officially functioned, and officially disappeared. Not into myth, but into paperwork. In the late 14th century, Venice was one of the busiest ports in the world, and also one of the deadliest. Plague ships arrived weekly from the Mediterranean, carrying not just silk and spices, but something far more dangerous. According to the Venetian Senate Health Decree of 1377, now preserved in the Archivio di Stato di Venezia, any ship suspected of carrying plague was forbidden from entering the city. Instead, they were diverted to isolated islands in the lagoon. One of those islands was Poveglia. The decree does not describe Poveglia as a hospital. It describes it as a place of containment. In its own words, "The infected shall remain isolated until death or recovery, so that the city may survive. No rescue boats, no treatment plans, no appeals. Just isolation." Maritime quarantine logs from the Venetian Sanità Marittima office, dating between the 15th and 17th centuries, record dozens of vessels redirected to Poveglia. The documents list numbers, not names. 32 souls, 47 persons, cargo burned. But what they don't record is how many of those people ever left the island alive. Historian Carlo Cipolla, in his analysis of Venetian plague control policies, noted that quarantine islands were designed less as treatment centers and more as biological fire breaks, human barriers between the infected and the city. Poveglia was one of the final barriers. Eyewitness accounts preserved in Venetian municipal correspondence describe entire families being removed from ships and ferried across the lagoon, knowing they would not return. One letter dated 1576 states, "Those sent to Poveglia are no longer citizens. They are already counted among the dead." Archaeological surveys conducted in the 20th century confirmed what written records implied. The soil layers on Poveglia contain abnormally high concentrations of burned human bone fragments. This finding appears in Italian Ministry of Cultural Heritage excavation reports from the 1960s. During outbreaks, bodies were cremated in open-air pits to prevent further spread. No names, no markers, no graves. Just ash, absorbed into the island itself. Poveglia did not become a cemetery. It became a biological disposal site. By the 19th century, plague outbreaks declined. Quarantine ships no longer arrived. Poveglia was emptied. For decades, the island remained abandoned, its buildings decaying, its fields returning to weeds, its past slowly disappearing into silence. But it would not stay silent, because in 1922, the Italian government gave the island a new purpose, and the island became dangerous again. In 1922, Poveglia reopened, not as quarantine, but as a psychiatric hospital. This is documented in Italian Ministry of Health facility registries, which list Ospedale Psichiatrico di Poveglia as an active institution until 1968. Unlike modern psychiatric hospitals, early 20th century mental institutions in Italy operated under legal frameworks that allowed forced confinement without trial. Patients were transferred by court order, family request, or police mandate. Once admitted, release was rare. Hospital administrative correspondence archived in Venice references behavioral correction procedures and experimental treatments.
Though specific patient files remain sealed under privacy laws, medical historians note that electroshock therapy, isolation chambers, and early psychosurgical techniques were common practice in Italian asylums of the period. According to a 1969 report by the Venetian Municipal Council,
the hospital was shut down due to structural decay, isolation difficulties, and failure to meet evolving medical standards. But notably, no replacement facility was designated. The patients were relocated. The staff left. The island was abandoned again. In the decades that followed, stories began to circulate of screaming heard at night, of doctors performing secret experiments, of a head physician who went mad and threw himself from the hospital tower. But none of these claims appear in medical records, death registries, or municipal incident reports. The horror of Poveglia does not require ghosts. Its documents are enough. Poveglia served as a mass quarantine site during multiple plague outbreaks between the 14th and 18th centuries. This is confirmed by Venetian Senate health decrees, Sanità Marittima maritime quarantine logs, archaeological surveys of human cremation remains. We know it later operated as a psychiatric hospital from 1922 to 1968, as recorded in Italian Ministry of Health facility registries and Venetian municipal infrastructure reports. We know it was abandoned due to decay, not danger. And we know the island has remained officially off-limits to the public ever since, not because it is haunted, but because it is inconvenient. History leaves stains that brochures do not like to print. Poveglia sits quietly in the Venetian lagoon, unmarked, unvisited, unspoken of. Tour boats pass within sight of it every day. Passengers take photos of palaces, of bridges, of sunsets, without knowing that just beyond the waterline is an island built from isolation, disease, abandonment, and human disposal. This is not a ghost story. This is not a legend. This is what happens when history solves a problem by moving it out of sight and never looks back.